Welcome to Inference and Incense, where insight meets intuition when a rational bows to the ritual, and the data always have something to say. We, two data scientists, exploring one big questions each week, taking turns surprising each other with a mystery guest and a live reading. Each week, our questions is equal parts over-analysis and random curiosity. This one starts something like this. All right, Lucy, I would like to start today's conversation with very simple, very naive questions. If cinema was once the art of a singular vision, the director shaping meaning visually frame by frame, then what happens if that vision start co-authoring with AI? Are we expanding imaginations, outsourcing it? What do you think? Is AI adding to the cinema dreamscape or quietly subtracts from it?
Come on, Jan. I think you're more qualified than me in this whole film studies. Because, you survived watching The Conjuring 1, 2, like every year. That's basically a dissertation in visual and spiritual madness. I cannot even stand horror films. They give me nightmares.
Well, barely survived the very first time. But Halloween doesn't feel complete without them. I love movies, honestly, in every form: horror, comedy, sci-fi. It's like popcorn for the soul. I can't help but wonder, what do you think? If AI filmmaking, can it generate that amazing sense of wonder, the feeling of love, fear, hate? Or are we just watching a trillion of data points pretending to have some sort of emotion?
I mean, I think that big production TV shows, films always have a very large writing team anyways, right? And then if you look at like every image, it's basically trillions of pixels we're looking at anyways. So regardless, the film industry or any creative work is going through a shift with AI.
Right. I mean, I don't know if that's the same equivalent of doing storytelling with your AI collaborator or AI agents. Isn't that creepy when the storyteller talking to an AI for storytelling and the engines start talking back to you?
Just hear me out. What if the storyteller was always a collaborator and AI is just making that visible?
Okay. Like from a science perspective, I guess the act of creation for me is deeply tied to having an intention, right? When you create, when you make, when you write something, your prefrontal cortex is making micro decisions this word, not that word, this image, not that image. That's authorship, intentional chaos. Isn't that the basic of human signature in the work?
Yeah, but what about inspirations? Like, we have so many artists that it just came through me, right? I don't really know where that came from. Like, even Mozart said that he heard entire symphonies fully formed in his mind. Was that his prefrontal cortex, or was that he just channeling something?
We can't use Mozart. I mean, that creator of so many scripts, I don't think that's a fair comparison, though. And even if for a second, saying one single symphony, he was downloading it from the heaven, the gods, the angel, his brain was definitely good at connecting the patterns and still transcribing it to the music that no one has ever created or heard.
Yeah, but that's what AI does, right? It's connecting all the dots. And then I feel here's what like AI fascinates me. It's like a ritual mask. Like similarly, I feel that's kind of like in the Greek theater, actors wore masks to channel archetypes. So the mask wasn't the actor, but it wasn't not the actor either. It was an interface between the human and something larger. And that's how I think humans interacting with AI these days.
Fair. I like that. I like that analogy of a comparisons. It's an interesting way to see it for sure. And if you thinking that AI is kind of like a mask in your analogy, and it built out of everything that we ever made, remixing the whole human database, really, our collective imaginations with an insane speed of 3,000 tokens per second. Sure.
Exactly. That's how I thought about it. The Akashic records, but it's in 4K resolution.
Well, before we go all crazy and woo woo, I would say, you're one metaphor away from starting a new religion, isn't it? Uh, but I think here's where my hang up is. The Greek actor deliberately chose to wear the mask. They resonate with certain character and they bring their own certain personal traits to portraying the person, the character behind the mask. And the archetype is a little bit of a mix between the mask and the personal actor, where they both summons together in that performance. However, AI doesn't choose anything. It auto completes. It basically your world best intern who never really ask why behind any of the actions that it does.
But isn't that what our subconscious does anyways? The pattern matching?
A bit, but I think our subconsciousness has pride, ego, identity, our own archetype that we continue to evolve over time. So, yes, human do pattern match, but it's embodied different. It's wired with memory, trauma, joy, heartbreak. So, when Toni Morrison writes about grief, she's not predicting which words pair with loss. She's writing from her lived in experience. And I think that's where I differ that AI doesn't feel grief. It just knows that the word grief often happen next to the word rain, for example.
I think that's discrimination on AI. You're saying there's no so, and then there's no interiority there.
Well, yes, I do. I do discriminate a little bit. And I think human emotion is something that is so sacred, right? The intentions behind the emotions. And I think that's the core heartbeat of storytelling. Yeah, the studies on computational creativity does shows that AI is great at imitating, but horrible at moral tensions. It can definitely fake Picasso's brushstroke, but does it really know why Picasso couldn't sleep or end his life in a certain way?
But what if that limitation is actually liberating? I mean, what if AI generates something the human ego would never allow, and that accidental image becomes a breakthrough?
Okay, sure, I'm listening. Give me a concrete example though.
Yeah, if you think about what we've been doing, right? We read tarot cards or any cards you're reading, and then like we use cards as random prompts for intuition, right? So the card itself has no power. It's a catalyst for the reader's insight. What if AI is just like that? So a collaborator that throws unexpected elements into a creative process, forcing you to see beyond your habitual patterns.
Yeah, but I think with tarot reading, we are connecting energy. That's something that is not able to be explained yet. So we do channel the energy. But sure, if you steering the ship, the second that you stop editing and just nod along whatever the algorithm spits out, you no longer the creator, the artist anymore. You just the fucking intern supervisor. Probably not a good one either, right?
I mean, then I call you a slacker, right? Because I mean, why couldn't you channel energy when you're like interacting with AI?
Sure.
Yeah. And now, like listening to all of these, I feel maybe the real question is, are like filmmakers using AI as a tool that they're actually using it to expand their vision, or are they actually outsourcing their vision to the tool, right? So there's really no soul talking with the AI.
Maybe. And I think if I'm being honest with you, I really wonder whether they even know if they handed over their soul, aka their pen or their mouse, and didn't even notice that they handed it off.
Right. So let's zoom out a bit because cinema has always been shaped by forces beyond the individual director, right? There are studios, test audiences, market research. They've done way more than it looked like.
Okay. But first of all, before we go on, don't even get me started on test audience. I can only imagine how many brilliant films ending got butchered because the test audience in Village Idiot didn't quote unquote get it.
Oh, village idiots. There's so many of them. And in so many ways, I feel then, like what you said, all the reality is always already like that. So maybe AI is just accelerating a process that's already happening. Becoming a mirror of collective desires.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the old day where we still had taste curator, you had executive who actually care and loved movies. Think character Matt Remick in the studio shows, editors with highly opinions, movie critics who knew their craft. Now we're swapping them for goddamn attention dashboards.
True, true, but I feel also you can like editing the AI's persona, like those editors, that then that's problem solved, right? But I hear what you're saying because I feel that's probably one of the biggest reasons I stopped watching big box productions because they all feel like pretty much same. They're manufactured following the same formula, and then like KPRs are safe, but until they don't really work.
Exactly. And I think when you said that you can prompt different agents for the curator, for the movie executive, for the test audience, but that's the thing is that I think they don't evolve. However, real human being, taste curator, they evolve over time as their tastes expand or slightly change over time. But if you keep everything exactly as your prompts, it's the death of taste, really. I know that sounds dramatic. I think recommendation engine optimized for one thing and one thing alone. Your attention is the main industry right now, keeping you watching whatever you're watching, staying on the same platform, not really wanting you to stop to think about what you just watched, to see if it resonate with you or it doesn't, or has it moved you in a different way. It just want you to stay on the platform longer. So the AI that's being trained on that data for me is just learning the same survival instincts to optimizing for that one KPI.
Yeah, that's the sad part. I feel so embarrassed. Like how much time I spent on cute puppies and babies every week. Every time I was like only 5 minutes, and then like 2 hours passed by.
Worth
Like,
every minute though.
yeah, but still, it's so bad, right? Because the algorithm like gets us every time. We're trapped in this feedback loop going on and on. Not to mention the all the autoplay. It shows us what we've already liked, and then AI just creates more of that.
Yeah, very monotonous, right? And I think this is a concept in ecology called monoculture crop failure. If you plant the same thing everywhere consistently, one small disease could wipe out the entire field. And I think we're seeing that equivalent of the cultural movement with AI, where everything kind of begin to feel, look, and taste the same way because it's all grown from the same formula. There's no risk taking anymore.
Yeah, maybe that's globalization and everyone come to the same place. But here's what I want to push back. Maybe that sameness is revealing something true about the collective unconscious. Like, what if the algorithm is actually surfacing our shared fears or desires?
Sure, if you want to think about it in the same way that fast food revealed that we all crave salt and sugar. But honestly, I think that sameness is just not aspirational. It reveals the core weakness of human digestive system. So what are we just going to get fat and diabetes from AI now?
Come on, we're Asian. Genetically, we stay skinny regardless, right?
But you get my points.
Yeah, I'm trying to think differently. In Jung psychology, the collective unconscious speaks through archetypes, and dreams, both sleeping and waking, or how we access that realm. Cinema has always been that shared dream, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, because every time we walk into a movie theater, we're sitting there in the dark. It's kind of like we enter a trance state and we're experiencing something, we're experiencing someone else's vision and kind of like become that actor.
I can buy that ticket. And I think whenever you watch a great film, it really takes you to another place. It hijacks your brain and your heart for up to 3 hours and 29 minutes, which is the longest movie been made in the past decade. And you forget, the uncomfortable seat, the popcorn, your phone for that entire duration. You glued to your seat for almost 1/6 of that day. So I think amazing movie, that is one of a very few plays where your heart and your mind stop multitasking for a long period of time.
Wait, pause for a second. Where's that 3 hour and 29 minutes?
Well, you know how Martin Scorsese is notorious for making long movie, and his Irishman was 3 hours and 29. Actually, that's one thing that is actually good to bring up is that in that movie, they did use AI to de-age. So Robert De Niro and making them look younger in,
Uh,
previous decade. And if the creator of the movie, the director of the movie, is intentional of how they use AI, keeping the story, the heart, and the soul of the movie alive, then I think AI is a very collaborative tool in that case.
exactly. Now we're talking about the AI generative cinema is actually the next evolution, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, then you just prove my points, right? That's the best director of the film in the last 2 decades.
I guess, but wait, going back to another philosopher that I love, Freud, he did say that dreams have two parts, the dream itself and the meaning you give it after you wake. So AI can dream, sure, but it can't wake up. It generates images, videos maybe, but not insights, not wisdom.
Yeah, but we do, right? That's the whole point saying that AI is just a collaborator, and that essentially we're the interpreters.
Yeah. Do you really believe that most people pause and reflect? Come on. I think that's the problem is that maybe I'm pessimistic, but I believe that most people don't. They scroll, they swipe, they move on. No time for interpretations of meaning. And when you already sprinting until the next video autoplays in 3 seconds, we're training a massive amount of audience nowadays to give away that pausing, that reflections, that interpretation altogether.
Yeah, but then again, you're saying the problem isn't the AI itself, it's how the platforms are designed to use it.
Okay, agree. And I think this kind of always go back that the tool isn't the villain. It's not the guns that kill people. It's a business model behind it. And when an artist with real vision use AI, you can use it. And I think in The Irishman, think what is another movie? I know there's coherence, there's soul. But when someone just trying to hack engagements, you get content that looks like cinema but feels dull like dishwater.
So it's not the tool itself, right? It's
Agree.
really the consciousness wielding it.
But let's be real though, Lucy. Like I think some tools make it way easier to mass produce garbage. And AI in this case is absolutely one of those tools.
Yeah, but then so what? Where does it leave us? Are we just doomed to swim in algorithm sludge forever?
Or we could redesign incentives, rewards depth over clicks, build slower platform, but who am I kidding? The Silicon Valley and the VC don't really do slow, do they?
Yeah, because I feel there's always conflict interest, and then whoever has that interest and power, they're in charge, right?
Yeah.
So, what if the answer isn't technology? What if we can deal with spiritually? Like, what if we need to ritualize how we engage with cinema again?
Or we can buy a big land lot, build farms, and put a big movie projections screen on it, and then start selling old movie tickets once again. Well, Anyway, I'm kidding. But what do you mean? Tell me, what do you think?
Yeah, here's what I'm thinking. Because we agree the problem isn't just how AI is used to create cinema, it's really how we are trained to consume it. We've lost the sacred pause. Everything's on autoplay. There's no break for consumers.
It sounds like it's an upcharts tactic. Tell me more.
Yeah, because if you think about it, everything like make us ponder, speculating, or meditate on is a space or the pause, the space between the story and your reaction to it. And then, like in the old time practices, it's all about creating that space, whether we're talking about meditation, rituals, or even silence before meals. It's all about receiving consciously, not just consuming.
We both worked for a meditation company in the past. And I think that pause that has been spoken widely, this is proven neurologically. And when the pause happens, the consolidations happens, right? Your brain integrates the experience. You connect to your past memories, feelings, and you have meanings from it. So without pausing, the experience just evaporates. And you go through life not remembering how the lived in experience when you walked into that room, when you meet a new person, is just your short term memory and everything's gone.
Yeah, it sounds so sad now. Because if you remember when we were little, when we watched TV shows, like every 15 minutes or 10 minutes, there's a commercial time, right? You had to go to bathroom. And then you're so excited to go back. You start thinking a little bit about the last thing and expecting the next. But now they took that away. It's just every platform. They're now like designed to eliminate that pause. Everything's on autoplay. It's endless scrolls, watch next, and then even Netflix. You don't even have to hit that watch next. It's auto. And there's no time to sit with what you just experienced.
Not only that, if you remember when we were kids, not only the annoying advertising that take place every 15 minutes, it only dropped once a week. So whatever the episode that you were watching, you would discuss with your social circle, be it friends and family, and you have to wait another 6 days until you can watch whatever you wanted to happen. So I think AI just really pour gas on fire, to be honest. It generate these infinite next thing. You could literally watch forever and never arrived anywhere.
Wow. Then I feel we are actually the propellers of that. Because when I worked for a streaming company, we actually did a whole lot of analysis just to just to know, like, figure out the thickness of the show, right? So we have to drop the entire season instead of episode by episode to get customers hooked.
Yeah.
So in that sense, everyone's uh, everyone's not innocent, I guess. And then the question really becomes, how do we preserve that sacredness in a system optimizing for the opposite?
It's hard. I mean, the company that you and I work for, the North Star KPI is the average minute consumed per week, right? And this is where I know I sound pessimistic, honestly. I think it's just a really tough question to answer. Anything that is sacred takes frictions, it takes intentional slowdown and inner reflection. That's the human process, which is honestly, humans are epically bad at slowing down.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And then also I have a bad insider joke from like a streaming company. I think, as you said, one of the KPIs, the average minutes per week, or right? Or let's simplify it, average hours. And then one of the reports showing, I think our average was like 27 hours. It's like, what's going on? And then it turns out, like our consumers, they're streaming from multiple devices and everything's on autoplay. So that again proved the point. And I think we're talking about people listening to this conversation, people who are already asking these questions.
How many people are listening to this episode too? You and I.
Millions, millions, I'm assuming. And remember our KPI. We each
Okay.
listen to this multiple times. That counts as multiple, you know?
Okay, I'm gonna go back and replay our podcast episode. But anyway, I'm all ears. Tell me what are some of the solutions do you have?
I guess we're already touching on it. So I think it's really about us, the receiver, right? We need to treat cinema, especially AI assisted cinema, as oracles, not just as content to consume.
As Oracle? What? Okay, I don't think we can go there yet, but I'll let you explain before I roll my inner eye.
Yeah, so here's a story, right? If you think about ancient Greece, people went to oracles for guidance. They'll ask a question, get an answer that made no sense, and then they probably spend days, if not years, figuring out what it means. Then the oracle wasn't the end, it was a beginning.
So taking everything, approaching all of your entertainment, movies, films, as the questions that coming to you.
Exactly. So instead of watching something and immediately rating it or scrolling it to the next thing, like a machine, we ask, what is this showing me? And then what collective shadow is this revealing? Where do I see myself in this story? Just give it more thoughts.
Yeah, taking some agency back as a viewer. You're not passive consumer. You're not giving them your attention for free. So watch less, maybe actually even read more.
That's a hard part, but that's exactly the spiritual practice, right? And it takes some time. And then that's what sacred engagement look like.
But maybe I'm being cynical, but here's my follow-up question. So maybe a few people that do what we just recommended, how do we scale that to the mass? How do you get millions, a billion of people to suddenly treat Netflix like a mystery, like a reflection school? I just don't see that.
Maybe you don't need to, right? Because how many Buddhas have we seen in the past centuries? And then it's okay. Maybe the sacred engagement will always be a minority thing, because not everyone wants to be a rishi, wants to be awakened. And then before people who really want to do it, the experience will be completely different.
Okay, so I guess maybe we don't change the system. I don't think we can. And we're changing one individual at a time, choosing how we show up within the system themselves.
Exactly. No matter how many people are listening to our show, right? And then you cannot really control what AI generates or how algorithms function, but you can control your own attention and your own intention.
I guess this does remind me of that Viktor Frankl quote, which is between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is your power to choose your response.
Yes, back to the space, right? Because even after 2 hours watching that cute puppy show, like once I take a deep breath, I'm like, oh wow, I'm coming back to the moment. And that's really what we are looking for, that sacred pause.
I'm with you philosophically, but being such a practical person, I am, what does that look like really for most people?
Yeah. So start with intention. You control the search, not the algorithm. I intentionally paused my history like in the browser for like YouTube watches. So it's instead of like having YouTube to always recommend me based on my watching history, I intentionally choose what to watch. And also like cancel the autoplay, adding some pauses essentially during your binge watch.
Good luck selling that to the dopamine addicted madness. I mean, even my dad nowadays sending me madness number of TikToks, Instagram video, but fine. I think, yes, going back to the serious conversation, maybe we viewers just need to pause a little. But let me throw it back. Isn't it also true for the filmmakers, the creators, producer? It's around human intention, right?
Absolutely. And then intention becomes everything.
So every tools that comes around our creations, the camera, the editing software, AI, They're all neutral. It's the human behind the machine wielding all of these systems, really the determinations whether the result has any soul. And the big question is why behind everything that we do, the burden is even more so on the filmmaker and the creators.
Yeah, so I think it's really up to the creator to evaluate the tool, right? And then for Chinese, one of the biggest inventions in history is gunpowder. We
Mm.
use it for fireworks. But guess what? All other nations use it as weapon. So really, it's up to the creator how you're using the tool. Then the questions becoming, what are you trying to say? And then is this AI right tool for saying it for filmmakers?
That's an amazing invention, by the way, but not all other countries using it for gunpowder. Chinese start to use it as gunpowder first. Just want to be correct. But anyway, I think yes, exactly.
You've got a point.
Yeah, it's the why behind the intentions that counts. And if AI serves your story, great. If you're using it just because you want something quick, fast, and easy, and you haven't really thought through your story and character, then everything is dead on arrival.
Yeah, the passive leads the resistance again.
Always, always. And every system wants to make everything effortless, but meaning doesn't survive effortless. Your brain has a limited processing capacity. You nowadays making 35,000 decisions a day. Little did we know, you just cannot bring your full consciousness, your attention to every little thing that you do every day.
Exactly. So we have to choose what's worth the cognitive load.
So how do we decide what deserves the full attentions? What worth your pause, your sacred pause, as you said it?
I want to prompt that into AI. I can't help but I think if you think about it, like AI can handle the very mundane stuff, right? The routine, the technical, the purely functional. That's how like AI should do a first pass to processing those 35,000 decisions. Maybe that frees up human consciousness for what actually matters.
By the way, I love the one who recommended the sacred pause, wanted to throw that as a prompt right back to AI. But isn't that just such a human nature? Every time that you freed up some time, you fill it immediately with more noise. Funny. I think we just don't know how to be still, honestly.
Yeah, that's human beings, right? It's a classic.
Yeah, remember about that scientific experimentation that I was telling you about of the person being alone in a quiet, no entertainment room. There's a choice of being alone or to get electrical shocked, mild zapped. And 72% or so of the male participation chose to get zapped. It's just, I think boredom, stillness really is a really difficult thing for human. And it's a classical human trap. I think we invent labor saving device. Then we immediately filled the saved time with more labor.
Exactly. That's why we feel so stressed out like than ever. And also it's so hard to sell meditation as a concept. And then really as we advance, I feel the technology isn't the answer. Maybe the consciousness is the answer.
The answer is not better tech. It has to be
Right.
better intention, better consciousness behind our action, right?
Yeah. So where does this leave us?
I think it leaves us with the thought that AI in cinema is just like holding up a mirror. It shows you the things that you know, but you try to ignore. And again, it's not the tool, it's not the tech. The technology was never really the point. It's the human, the doer.
Wow. Then I feel the only thing left is how stupid we are. Like after that AR mirror. And then the consciousness so we bring to it.
And I think the real danger, again, is when you stop caring. Isn't it always the case, though?
Yeah, but on the flip side, visionary creators can use AI to do things that were not even possible in the past.
And it's not that AI good, AI bad, like a gun or a camera. It's all neutral until someone picks it up and points it somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's just like what we do in data discovery, right? Like depends on what you throw in. We always say garbage in, garbage out. And
Yeah.
then it will translate it into AI work when you prompt it with nonsense. It just gives you nonsense.
And I ask the questions every time when we begin data EDA. What is the question that you're trying to answer? Before you rabbit hole going into giving me hundreds of charts and saying you're done with EDA. And when you prompt with intention, it's the exact same thing that's happening.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is you don't take the answer on paper because sometimes I feel we take out that thinking process and then whatever it gives back to us, we take it. And then instead of in the old times, we think about asking it different ways. I think that's the other thing with AI.
Yeah. And I think you always have to be the owner of your actions, taking your agency back, right? Like you have to be willing to make that decision in a system that constantly profit from your attentions, putting you to sleep.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, then it's a practice for both sides on the creating side and also on the receiving side. They both require practice.
Yeah, and it's never one size fits all or one part of the equations, right? I think we started out the episode asking a very naive questions. If does it matter if a film is made with AI? And I think we both arrived that it doesn't. Not at least not in the way that we expected though.
Yeah, that's a perfect contradictory. And then just elaborate, please.
Well, I think it matters less because honestly, like a good story is a good story. You watch a great movie and if you feel something at the end of it, you resonate deeply, that's success for the filmmaker, right? And if it hits you and it makes you feel something so deeply, who cares if it comes from a camera, a canvas, or in collaborations with Codebase, with AI?
And it matters more than we want to admit.
Well, and I think you touched on this already. And I think this is when you were telling that it's all about your consciousness. Because when you shape your consciousness, struggling through idea, having obstacle when you're building a content, a story, don't skip the struggle. Because I think that it really helped you to grow more than just being done. So the outcome is not so much just an output. Again, I think it starts with that question. Maybe even before you write the script, before you create a video, what are you trying to do? What does that mean when it's called done for you? And I think, nowadays, just like muscles memory, we are so used to texting, writing, typing. When was the last time that you holding a pen, writing a thank you note, writing a journal? Well, I know you do every day, but I think most people don't. And I think that's my point is that when you do pick up the pen again, it feels like you're learning how to write with a crayon in your hand, like 3 years old again.
Yeah, I think people actually enjoy it because I was watching an interview the other day about Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, and that he doesn't even start with his own creation. He starts with pen and paper. And then doesn't that tell the truth somehow?
Yeah. And even if even more so, and I think that's solidifying the point that you can't promise your way simply to create real crafts. It's the repetitions, it's the obstacle, it's the rewrites, the burning, the midnight oil, getting to know you, your own thoughts, your feeling, your trauma, your joy, your happiness, things that you didn't just get answered in less than a second from a prompt.
Right. That it's really saying the process matters. Because if you even think about the life cycle of any human race, right? We were born naked, and then we know the destiny, our destination is death. And then that's like AI. If you know the result already, then who cares about the process? And what you're saying is what we've been through really matters. We should still enjoy the experience. And maybe AI is a tool for something, but it's definitely not a replacement for the deep work.
Definitely not. Yeah.
And speaking of the results, whether you are creating or watching, take that as an invitation to consciousness, not just the content to consume. And then let's all take the sacred pause once a while, at least.
I think we both successfully made this episode more complicated and more simple at the same time when we started.
That's our specialty, right? As always.
Yeah. And I think if you're making stuff with I think it's the data guidance is always asking why. At least for data practitioner, we always ask why. Everything's begin with a why. And if you're watching it, maybe, just maybe, don't give your attentions away so fast. That's how you take some agency back. And maybe do another thing that algorithm hates. Don't react. Don't give any reactions or rating whatsoever.
Or we write that part into the algorithm, makes it a rubric for us to take a pause and think about our intentions. And then maybe that's just a dance between human and machine, between intention and emergence, between control and surrender.
And then again, if you start slow dancing with your laptop, maybe it's time to log off. All right. I think we're rambling enough on this topic. Are you ready for Mystic Mirror time?
Yes, let's do it.
A little reading around who our guest is today.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll do like 2 questions?
Yes. Sorry. The shuffling is a little bit more difficult today. So let's do a little bit of his core attributes, who he is. And then the second one, what's on his mind, or maybe his obstacle.
Yeah, whatever the cards want to tell us, but it's more of like today's, right? About today, why he's coming here, his current energy, or anything. Well, let's be open, but more of today's session.
Interesting. The card fell out, and then I put it back. I reshuffle, and it's the same card I picked.
Oh, let's see which one it is. Are you ready?
Go for it. I'm getting my second. I got my first.
All right, I got an interesting set. So about his core attributes or who he is, I got a card of star. So that's a major arcana. And then he might be a star in life. It's looks very hopeful. This person is tapping to his subconscious very often, very spiritual, a lively person.
And why do you think he comes to the episode today? What are some of the things top of his mind?
So the card I got for that is Five of Pentacles. So I'm guessing he's in the middle of something. And then very interestingly, this one is a card like for financial loss, lack of mindset, that kind of thing. But I'm guessing he might be indecisive of certain things and but overlooking the like resource he already has on the side.
Interesting. Huh. So a little bit about his attributes. I got a card, and then a card fell out. So I got round and round, and that's a card that fell out. And then I got happy, happy. That's the second card. I guess his attributes is very, very bright, very energetic. If as dead on the nail head, as clear as possible. But potentially a little bit of an overthinker, maybe too much of repetitions in decision making, and potentially maybe going through cycles of life. So I think that's where he is at. For his obstacle, it's interesting. The card I picked, and I asked for a clarification card too. So the card I picked was No Place Like Home, and it oftenly depicts, a focus on his current home state. Generally good feeling. It's a very bright and warm image on the card. And I asked for a clarifications if, these are the things that on his mind, how is it related? And I got a never ending story. So potentially certain decisions is around the home, buying a house or choosing a place to live, maybe remodeling. So a lot of repetition decisions around the home, but at least it is a very happy place right now.
Interesting, because I think it says a lot of things about like the cycles, repetitions on your cards, right? So
Yes.
maybe it's just difficult for him to make decisions. That's why it always circles back. Or maybe he's talking circular, right? Things like that. And it's funny you talk about like buying a home. That's very specific.
It is a huge decision. So I don't blame him for repetition in this decision making. It is a never ending story. Even after you buy your home, you never know if you ever done with it financially and emotionally. So I'm sure, but I don't know if he's in a position or an interest to buy a home or not. Maybe we'll ask him, but it's definitely related to his home situation. Okay, so Lucy, let me tell you a little bit about our guests today. Joining our episode today is Daryl Wein. We talked a lot about movie making in this episode. Both you and I know about AI and the background of AI, but we know nothing about movie and the movie making. And Daryl Wein is a very successful director in the movie making business. So not only that he has conquered this very difficult business, but he also has been extremely experimental in using AI and partnering, I would say, with AI to co-generate a lot of interesting short movie. All right, Daryl, welcome to the episode today.
Thank you for having me.
As you know, we are both data scientists, and we dipped our toe a little bit today into the filmmaking and how that is going on with all of the AI into this craft. We know nothing about filmmaking, but you have been in this industry for a long time. Tell us, how has you been experimenting with AI?
I've mostly used AI for the purposes of research for writing scripts with ChatGPT and some other AI applications. I have done a little experimentation with creating short form content, mostly for humor and comedy with friends, but also a little creatively for some clients in the branded space. So if like a brand wants to make a short little video selling their soda, but that's pretty much where I've drawn the line. I got a little bit bored and I guess I felt uninterested after I kind of took it as far as I was interested in taking it because I'm not working with people. I'm not getting to be as creative as I like to be with live action filmmaking. And that to me is like really where the joy comes from.
Yeah.
When the AI comes up with everything, and I'm essentially basically just like a prompt engineer, it just becomes a bit less interesting and a lot less rewarding because I don't feel like I've quite earned the product. So there is a lot of fun in shaping it and seeing what it comes up with. And I think you can create some amazing things with it. And we can talk about that, what's kind of been coming out.
So the magic in the movie making is still the magic in the movie making process for you so far.
I think so, yeah, definitely for now. Because I also don't find that much joy in just sitting in front of the computer all day. And I think that's what I realized. Like when I first started playing with it, I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, I can just create this world and this crazy action sequence so quickly. Like I've never gotten to have $100 million to make a sci-fi film, for example. And so suddenly just being able to prompt it to make, visuals like that, suddenly we're in outer space or a character's, jumping off of a cliff onto a dragon, things like that are really exciting about the technology. Um, but yeah, I guess because it happens so quickly and it's also not quite 100% perfect, doesn't feel like it has a soul.
Yeah, so it seems like AI has been so far productive, at least in the earlier part of the filmmaking, the researching, the collaborating, the ideations, bantering back and forth with you. Do you feel ever a point that it giving you something that is so novel that you never thought of, you never heard of, or has it always been a really good assistant of giving back what you needed from it?
It's a good question, because I definitely find it takes me in different directions as an assistant of sorts. And at times I'm like, wow, this is actually better than what I thought of. Like, it definitely comes up with really smart, good ideas a lot of the time. Whether or not that is still derivative and just like a copy of something that's out there that I don't actually know about. So that is where it gets a bit ambiguous, right? And a bit confusing because it's like, okay, maybe I will go with what the AI is telling me to do, but I don't know if that's just ripping off this artist or this writer or this, amazing thinker, because I know it's been trained on all of this data,
Yeah.
and
The answer is yes, 100%.
right, it's from every single walk of life, it seems. I'm assuming that it is just kind of regurgitating various permutations and versions and hybridizations of all this content that is out there. In which case I get a little bit nervous about, how I'm using it. So I personally am always trying to still, you know, insert my own identity and self and originality whenever I'm working. I mean, that's the dominant force of what I'm doing, and using the AI more to bounce ideas and, think about things from a different perspective, which I think it's actually really good at. It's just so I think that now it's just because it's eliminating so many jobs, and it's better at combining so many different skill sets, and it is more just you telling it what to do versus working with the technology in a way that feels like it's like it used to be more of a tool, and now it feels like it's a creator. And I think that's what's threatening and scaring a lot of people, obviously. But it does amazing things, and it is really good for ideation. It's great for preparing visual storyboards sometimes, or creating pitch decks, let's say, if you're trying to pitch something that you want to give the idea of the mood or the feel. It can be really fun to use it in that context.
I guess I have a harsh question. So, do you think AI can replace you as a creator, or it's more of a manifestation of your creative like ideas?
I don't think it can I don't think it can replace me yet. I really have to be there interfacing with people, directing them, talking to them. Like, you would have to have like a robot on set, or in rehearsals, or, on these productions, moving around, engaging with people. And I don't think that the technology is quite there yet, and I don't think it can like pick up on the nuances of behavior and, what's going on a very like kind of subconscious level. A lot of the magic of visual storytelling and art is that almost unquantifiable thing. It's the soul of an actor. It's the reading between the lines of a script. It's how elements get combined together that, you have chosen as an artist to make people feel something in a new, interesting way. And I've struggled to really feel like that's landed entirely with AI. I think it's like really good at mimicking a lot of real life situations, but the AI actors are all a little bit odd. Like you can kind of tell there's a strange deadness underneath their eyes. And they're getting closer and closer to making them talk and feel like visual, like mechanics wise that they are like us. But I don't know, I still feel like there's something missing. And you know, same with the writing. I think it can sometimes feel kind of formulaic and a bit, I don't know, like it's been derived from something else or a bit trite. Like, I don't know, just in the way it doesn't always feel idiosyncratic and natural because it's so perfect, it's so precise in whatever it's emulating, whether it's, you know, prose or it's a screenplay or it's a article. It just doesn't have that aliveness in the way that I at least appreciate aliveness. So no, I don't fear that at least my job is completely under threat. I think that as a writer, I think that definitely Hollywood, if we're looking at that context and that system, is probably using AI to write drafts of things and give notes on projects. But I think you still really need a human to kind of step in and mold it and shape it and take in a lot of information to get it to where it needs to go from like a deeper character, you know, driven perspective or plot or structure. Um, I think, yeah, it's still just in the, to me, basic stages of its evolution. You know, where that's going to be in 5, 10 years will be interesting to see. But I think humans crave human interaction and you know, human led projects for the most part. I think AI as an infrastructure and like software to use as tools within companies for a variety of different things is great because it speeds things up. It's more productive. Definitely helps with some productivity. But like it running society, I think is a bit of a scary thing. Like if it just takes over every aspect of our life.
Yeah, for sure. I think that lands the same place where our episode ends, because essentially we're still ingesting souls, right, to whatever we create, and that's what human experience differ from a machine experience.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like I'm sure you know about Neuralink and like Elon Musk's, you know, project to implant technology into humans. But so yeah, I think Neuralink and these other new startup companies that are trying to put chips inside people is a super scary, you know, thresholds because how that's going to affect, you know, human body from a health perspective, but also like how it's going to take the reliance off of the human to like learn and figure things out on their own is definitely scary. And not to mention like the hackability of what these chips could, you know, um, what can happen with the advent of hackers potentially overriding a human being in this context, right? Like what happens if suddenly someone gets the chip put in them to become smarter, to speak 5 languages, to do all these things, but it gets corrupted or someone starts to use that person as a puppet of sorts to do something bad or nefarious. So I think there's just so many question marks and gray areas and ethical and moral issues with the technology that we still have to, you know, be aware of. Of course, the doomsday scenarios are out of control. So it's going to be interesting to see how far we let it become sentient and, you know, generally aware of itself. And once that happens, and we are in a place where we're not able to unplug it, I think is what I'm worried most about. I think so many other people are too.
I love that you tee up our episode 4, 5, and 6 perfectly for us. So, so I think let's pivot, Daryl, before we do the card reading. I'm very curious. Tell us about the current project that you're working on.
Oh, so I have a variety of projects that I'm currently working on, although not really using AI.
Yeah.
Again, I use it to bounce ideas and to research things. So it's a great tool for that. But I am most excited about a movie that I am going to direct next year that's focusing on the energy scandal from the 90s, early 2000s, created by the corporation Enron. And that is going to be a deep dive into the power dynamics and the Ponzi scheme that they were essentially running on the world and the American people. And, kind of look into that shadowy organization and the politics and how it branched out into government and how it affected people all over the place.
And
So
how it's
that'll
impossible for us to walk away from the oil industry, even till today.
exactly, yeah. They started as an oil company, moved into gas and energy, and that, um, company they're very similar to so many corporations that are still doing versions of what they did, 25 years ago. It's just a lot of power and greed and manipulation of markets and loopholes that are being exploited to make lots of money, cheaper goods, higher returns. And it's to me interesting because I'm still fascinated by how it happens and how people keep getting away with these things and what's driving mostly men,
Greed.
unfortunately, to create these horrible conditions and scenarios for our world and society.
Anyway, we would love to pivot to a little bit more of a fun exercise. So this is where we do live card reading. You can ask questions and then follow-ups and probing, but this is for you.
So I should ask any question that is something that is of interest to me and that I'm feeling and curious about in my personal and professional life.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, well, I guess since I am about to embark on fatherhood in a few months,
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm going to be a father as well as continuing to work and navigate this career that I, have been working on for 20 years. I guess I'm curious about that balance, right, of professional and personal and how having this child will impact my career professionally and how it's going to impact my work and my creative identity, so to speak.
So I think there's so many questions within that.
Yeah.
Can I rephrase maybe just one to start with?
Yeah, sure.
Uh,
We can make it
where
very
would your
simple.
emotional state be? Say 6 months? Is that a good timeline, or you want to extend to a year?
Yeah, let's see. Where will I be in a year's time, given everything going on?
Yeah, I think two cards, right? First card, within a year, how does Daryl think where he is? And how does he feel about the whole situation? And second card, maybe we get some advice or major challenge, that kind of thing.
Yep.
You have your cards ready?
I'm getting the second one. You can go first.
All right. Universe responds to your questions. So the first card, how do you feel like a year from now? Here I got a card that is a handman. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the tarot system, but here it's showing a man hanging on a tree upside down with a light bulb in his head. So this card kind of like illustrates a pause, a surrender, because again, this is a major event for you, becoming a father. I became a mom myself last year. Definitely
congrats.
changes whole perspective. And this card says so. You'll have to let go something and then gaining a new perspective and like kind of like becoming enlightened about certain things. but viewing things very differently than before. So it's definitely major. And I think like you'll like ponder on that a lot. You're from now. It's just a very new like lifestyle. It's a change, some sacrifice, but I think you'll enjoy it and hopefully in a peaceful state. Because again, this is more of a stable card to think about what to let go, what to like gain in a new lifestyle.
Great. I like the light bulb.
Yeah, it's something. Maybe you'll even become more creative in your working process with a newborn.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So, Daryl, for the first one, I got go the distance, reminding you that I think there's more at the end of the road. So it is a very positive, full of movement card. So I think, taking what Lucy just said about the hangman, it's a lot of happening within the next 12 months for you. Probably require you to go the distance somewhere along the way. But for the second card, might as well I have it. I got all that glitter, and I mean it's literally two figures sitting on top of gold mine. So
Oh, great.
I maybe, I think the possibility of your firstborn giving you inspirations for new artwork, new idea, and a movie could begin. So I wasn't sure on that. So I asked for a clarification card and I got solid foundation and success with effort. So it does seem
Great.
that I think you will be working hard at whatever problems in front of you. Same thing with the firstborn, and you're probably going to come out very well at the end.
Sitting on 2 pots of gold. I like that. Yes.
What did you get for the second card, Lucy?
Yeah. First of all, like, do we know the due date of the child?
February 21st.
February 21st. Wow, that's very close to Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the second card I got, so we're asking about the advice or maybe some like to address some challenges. The card I got is the lovers. So this is a very like strong card in tarot system, right? Showing two lovers, and then again, I think it states like love, harmony, balance, all of those. And I think it's probably just suggesting you giving a lot of love to your child. Of course, you will do, and but also you'll enjoy this. New world with a child because it's like literally like two people together, right? Living like peace and love.
I love that. Great. Lots of love, lots of abundance.
Yeah. So any follow-up or new questions, Daryl?
Oh, I want to leave it at that because that feels really good. I like the lovers and the productivity and new ideas from the child and sitting on gold. That sounds great to me.
It's funny because guest joins the episode. We always do a little bit of a pre-reading. So characteristic is one card and what's on their mind, obstacle, things that they toiling with. And I'll summarize for us. I think what Lucy and I pull is happy, happy, which is the name of the card, and a star. So, that was a characteristic attribute.
I'm a star.
that we got of Daryl. And for obstacle or challenging, I got a situation of the house and repetitions of thoughts around that. Lucy, you got what? Five of wands, right?
Oh yeah, something like that. So like a transformational stage,
Mm,
and then with some strong passion and love.
yeah.
Kind of now makes sense. Now you tell us you're expecting a child.
Yeah, that's definitely what I've been going through. Transformation.
Well, it was great having you, Daryl, to the episode.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, always a pleasure. Thanks, Daryl.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you soon and have a great rest of your day.
Lucy, how do you think that go?
I think it went really well. I was like very surprised when he told us that he's expecting a new one, and I was like, now it makes sense what you read of that new home, right? It's a very like
it's a life-changing event.
It is a life-changing event. And yeah, I think he is one of those still, sorry, muted. It's coming from you. Yeah, and I think Daryl is still one of, a very old school filmmakers that's relying on instincts and intuitions, feeling and emotional that come to him first, and using AI when there's a need for mentoring and there's a need for research. So I think it's a very encouraging story coming from a real life filmmaker.
Absolutely. I know how he said about using AI as assistance, but really he enjoys the making itself, right? Because that's the whole point of being a human being, is to experience this world yourself. All right, I think that's enough for this episode. In the next episode, we'll talk about when your gut is smart and when it's trauma.
That's it. Thank you, everyone.